He said that there should be a swift and fair investigation into the Pahalgam terror attacks. That is quite strange because when the Urumqi incident happened in 2009, the Chinese did not allow for any global investigators to go into the terror incidents. 1965 India-Pakistan war, 1971 war, Kargil war in the 90s. When you look at these incidents, China had supported Pakistan indirectly. Of course, 2025 they may directly support inside the territories of China or Pakistan. Instead of being a defensive, we are now planning for an offensive campaign.
Recently this Pahalgam attack has happened, and after that there is an ongoing tussle, or you can say flare-up between India and Pakistan. You being a Chinese expert, how do you look at China's position in this? Because China has been always a friend for Pakistan, and openly or closely they are supporting Pakistan, always. How do you look at the position?
Well, the Chinese spokesperson, Mr. Guo, had condemned the incident that happened on April 22nd. He had also said that they expressed sympathies to the victims, etc. So those cordial things have been mentioned. However, there was no support extended to India, like President Putin mentioned, like other leaders have mentioned. The foreign minister of China spoke to his Pakistani counterpart, Mr. Dar, on April 27th, 3 days ago. And in this he said that there should be a swift and fair investigation into the Pahalgam terror attacks. Now that is quite strange because when the Urumqi incident happened in 2009, the Chinese did not allow for any global investigators to go into the terror incidents. Likewise, when COVID-19 erupted in China, there was no investigation despite Australian Prime Minister seeking for an investigation into the origins of the virus. So if the Chinese have not allowed for an investigation, so this suggestion looks quite strange and also problematic. Secondly, the Pakistanis were allowed by India after the Pathankot terror incident, when the airbase incident happened. So we allowed a Pakistani expert group to come and investigate. After that, they did not release any report regarding the Pathankot, and then also there was no major consequence after the investigation was done in countering terrorists or in addressing the issue of terrorism itself. So this is the Chinese offer then looks like more buying time and stalling any action that the Prime Minister Mr. Narendra Modi had promised in the Bihar election campaign, when he said that we will have a hot pursuit of the terrorists or their backers. So the Chinese suggestion then looks like more buying time rather than either supporting India on the counter-terrorism effort or in pursuing this matter in terms of the 1267 Committee of the United Nations Security Council. So all this suggests that the all-weather friendship, which was reiterated in Wang Yi's speech with the Pakistanis, that is intact, and that means that we should not expect any Chinese support for the counter-terrorism related matters with China.
Sir, apart from counter-terrorism cooperation, do you also expect, in case there is a bigger flare-up from the Indian side or hot pursuit as promised by Prime Minister, do you think China is going to militarily or financially or resource sharing with Pakistan?
If you look at history, 1965 India-Pakistan war, 1971 war, Kargil war in the 90s. When you look at these incidents, China had supported Pakistan indirectly, not directly. Indirectly meaning opening another front, that is the northern front, the border front with India. They have released yaks during the 71 campaign. They have demanded India to withdraw troops from Sikkim in the 1965 war. During Kargil, they have trained the Pakistan Air Force at Skardu airfield when we had the Kargil incident. So these appear then indirect support to Pakistan. Of course, 2025 they may directly support. However, there are, for the reasons that CPEC has already been in place, China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, they have spent $52 billion on this. And even though the Chinese themselves have a terrorism problem with Pakistan, because 34 Chinese people were killed in Pakistan in 14 incidents in the last 4 years. So they have a grouse on their own. Global Times, when the Dasu hydroelectricity project blast took place, killing 9 people in 2021, the Global Times said that China should launch missiles on the terrorist camps in Pakistan. While the Chinese themselves say they should have a hot pursuit, including use of missiles, they today do not want India to take similar action on Pakistan. It indicates then the reluctance, but also possibly indirect to direct support to Pakistan in future if the Indian side opens a hot pursuit within Pakistan. So this is one factor. The second factor is, as part of the CPEC, China has 36,000 security guards in Pakistan. They have nearly 20,000 Chinese workers in different parts of Pakistan on the CPEC related issues or other construction jobs like in Gwadar, like in other places. So if there is a crossfire between India and Pakistan, if there are Chinese casualties, because many of these are located in the border areas like the CPEC projects, if such a situation happens, it is likely that China may play more direct role in the India-Pakistan upcoming conflict.
Sir, can we also expect a two-side war, which always is feared by our military establishment?
In 2009, the Indian Armed Forces now began to shift towards the two-front war under nuclear threshold. And since then, we started deploying S-400 ballistic missile in between Pakistan and China, somewhere in Jammu and Kashmir or Himachal. We do not know exact location of these batteries, but we deployed to counter. Secondly, we also have strike corps on China, strike corps on Pakistan. These are basically meant for taking the war inside the territories of China or Pakistan. Instead of being a defensive, we are now planning for an offensive campaign with these measures. So in the light of the 2009 shift from Pakistan to China and also to two-front war under nuclear threshold, Indian Armed Forces are now preparing for that kind of a contingency since 2009. The current Pahalgam incident suggests that China doesn't like the Indian preparation. So China wants to confine India to the South Asia box, and the Pahalgam incident suggests there is a grand plan that China and Pakistan are actually hatching.
Can you elaborate on the grand plan if you can?
During the Cold War, all the Chinese texts, speeches, important documents, they all mention India is an important country in South Asia, like the Americans used to say. But then the 123 agreement and other nuclear agreements with the United States and the foundational agreements we signed with the United States removed that aspect of confining India to the South Asia box. However, the Chinese still continue with this discourse that India is an important country in South Asia, meaning it is not an important country in the rest of the world, but only confined to South Asia. China also began a trans-Himalayan quadrilateral dialogue with Afghanistan, Pakistan and Nepal, and they conduct the Xizang Trans-Himalayan conferences. 4 of these were held with the countries of Trans-Himalayan region excluding India. So this is the diplomatic effort. At the military level, there is the nearly 60% of all Chinese arms transfer abroad have landed in Pakistan, including last week's PL-15 air-to-air missiles. Incidentally, this PL missile was developed with Israeli support. The Chinese have got these missiles from Israeli collaboration. Today they are giving it to Pakistan in order to counter the Rafale aircraft that India has deployed and acquiring, which means that both militarily as well as diplomatically, China intends to confine India to the South Asia bloc. And of course, at a $4 trillion economy, you cannot be confined to a small region. You have to trade with every other country. But there is this effort to confine to South Asia.
What options do you think India will have now?
I think one is, of course, India has to resolve the terrorism issue, hot pursuit by other means. We have indicated before, after the Pulwama attack, the Balakot strikes. So this is one option, which indicates basically that we will have to cross the line of control, which in any case is abolished by the Pakistani announcement of the derecognition of the Shimla Pact, which brought in the line of control. So this is no holds barred now in terms of the crossing over into the POK and other areas. So that is one option that already indicates. The second is, as the Prime Minister yesterday mentioned, a free hand is given to the Indian Armed Forces to resolve what they want to in the best of the circumstances, which means that there is a tactical action that Indian Armed Forces can take, both the Navy, Air Force, but most importantly the Army can take on the Pakistani front. So it is a very clear message. If you remember, the Prime Minister mentioned a similar thing when Galwan happened. So we may expect this to continue for some time on what exactly the action that India will take. The third option obviously is putting pressure on Pakistan on the diplomatic isolation and other fora. Of course, the Pakistanis are part of the United Nations Security Council permanent group. As a part of rotation, they have become one, and they diluted the resolution on the Pahalgam incident. And so there is India needs to further these with the other P4 members, permanent 4 members like Russia, US, Britain and France, because last time when such an incident happened, the Chinese raised the Kashmir issue in the Security Council. Secondly, in the 1267 Al-Qaeda committee meeting, they have not endorsed the Indian dossiers on Zakirul Rahman, Masood Azhar or other terrorists based in Pakistan. So as a result, India needs to further campaign at the diplomatic level and also conduct the counter-terrorism campaign as been mentioned.
Subscribe to One India and never miss an update.